It was a welcome sight to see fans back in the stadiums for Week 1. Chelsea and Spurs win at home, Liverpool are back to their winning ways, and United put on a clinic against Leeds. The Kane discussion gets a bit spicy midway through the episode, but we're excited to begin Season 3. We still down here in the Rat Tail Bunker and Barbershop Studio, and this is the Boys and Bolos Podcast. Welcome back to the Boys and Bolos Podcast. Week 1, Jarrett, is complete. It was quite the week. There were some vibes going on.
The Week 1 will be known as vibes.
It was something to behold. All the fans back in the stadiums.
It was pure vibes. Whenever City lose, Tottenham win, Chelsea win, Arsenal, it's a great thing. And you know what? It was really good to see Van Dijk back. I saw him playing and he looked happy. I'm like, that's nice.
He played well.
He played very well.
Well, let's just kick it off. Maybe what we'll do is, before we get into our predictions on Week 2, which is, always comes up too quickly, but what were your highlights of the first weekend of the Premier League?
I've got some talking points, and one of the things I think I want to start with, and I feel like a lot of people maybe watched the game today, the Spurs-City game, because I think it was probably one of the best games for this week. The whole thing with Harry Kane is so fascinating. Like, I'm not a Spurs fan at all. I was super pumped to see them win without Harry Kane, and so then here's the question I have. Are Spurs more or less likely to sell him? Are they more likely because they're like, oh, we got Son and we can do this without him?
Nope.
Which, man. Or are they like more likely also because now they're like, we can get that money and then do different stuff with it to reinforce the team? Or are they less likely because now Harry Kane's like, holy shit, this team looks different under Nuno. Now this is a project maybe I want to stay and continue to be a part of.
It could go that way. That's definitely a possibility.
And is this also where City are like, holy shit, we really need something up top because Jesus isn't going to cut it. We lost Kun Aguero. If we play KDB in the false nine, we lose this midfield. I mean, City looked really good, but at the same time, they looked pedestrian. They never really caused that many problems today. But with that said, I think they should have scored 2 goals from open play. Mahrez missed a pretty wide open sitter, and there was just a couple
There was a header.
It was just a miss hit, and there was a couple ones that like probably should have been on goal, and I think they would have caused more problems. So I think the soccer gods intervened a little bit there, but I'm just like, is City now more likely to buy Harry Kane, or is Tottenham more excited to sell them? Like how does this game must change the dynamic of that relationship and the overall selling of Harry Kane. With that said, the Spurs fans saying Harry Kane, are you watching, was like the chant of the season thus far, other than Brentford's chant against Arsenal, which is like whatever. Yeah. But talk to me about what you think Daniel Levy's feeling, and then maybe what you think City's feeling.
This is what a lot of people on Twitter are saying. This is maybe what a lot of pundits are feeling and thinking. But my take is Spurs and City have an agreement for Harry Kane. And it hasn't been announced because there's an agreement between the teams that Spurs want to sign a striker concurrently with letting Harry Kane go. And they don't want to screw themselves in the market because they know if they let Harry Kane go before they sign the striker, it doesn't give them leverage to sign that striker with that other team. Say it's Fiorentina and Serie A, they want to sign Vlahovic or whatever his name is. If that team knows that Spurs need a striker, then the price of that player has gone up. Because they know Kane's out the door.
And they know how much money or how much liquidity then they think Spurs have.
Exactly. So it actually behooves Spurs to delay it until they have that player confirmed.
This is classic. It's easier to get a job when you have a job, right? When you're unemployed, when you have a job and you're trying to just make a move to make things better. Our City, though, how does this game change? So that's Spurs. How do you think this game changes City? Because they looked, and I know that they probably are still going to get some more players back, I guess. Like, I don't know, Phil Foden still not featuring, but they don't have a 9. They just don't have a 9.
Gundogan was their top goal scorer last season. They need a goal scorer that's going to score 20-plus goals. Kane is that guy, and there's no Haaland. They're not getting Lukaku. They're not getting another player that's going to score 20 goals this season. And so if I'm Daniel Levy, I'm going to try to pinch some more pennies out of City because he knows now they're kind of desperate. And this is a slow start. This is kind of like their MO, the slow start, and they'll pick up and they'll be first or second, as most people agree. They have crazy squad depth, crazy valuation in their squad. Basically 2 starting 11s.
To go on that, ESPN FC put something up, and I shared it on Boys and Bolos Instagram. Please follow our Instagram. The stories are just on fire at all times. It said starting 11 for Man City, $755 million. On the bench, how much is it? Just take a guess if you didn't see this.
500?
400. You're right, basically. $480 million US. That is $1.3 billion team. And you can't be a Spurs side without Harry Kane. You need to buy Harry Kane. Man City want to win the league and just kind of lock that down now. They need Harry Kane. Without Harry Kane, Chelsea.
I forget who my top 2 were, if it was Chelsea.
You have Chelsea City.
Okay, good, because that cements me kind of today. Last season, I picked City to finish 3rd, I think, or 2nd or 3rd. And this season, I'm strongly considering... I'm strongly picking Chelsea to win the league because I think they have a better identity as a team. I'm not saying City's a bad team by any means. They're very good. They're very good. Even today, there were many chances that they should have put away, and I think in like mid-season form, City would have put those away. Not to say that the game would have ended in a like. I think Bergwijn's chance he should have finished that, and it should have been 2-0. So perhaps the game ended 2-2, right? And so I think it would have been a fair result. I don't think anybody would have been upset with that result. Even if the game ended 1-1, I think a lot of Spurs fans would feel like that was a deserved result. I think that, you know, some of the individual performances from Tanganga and Elie and obviously Son were great, but collectively, I mean, they're just not as strong as City in mid-season form. So what they need, you're right, is a striker, and I think that this really boldly emphasizes that they need Kane. And I think the Kane not coming out, he still is Tottenham Hotspur player right now. He's still a Spurs player under contract. He was there at the game in the skybox. He didn't travel with the team. He wasn't on the he wasn't in the reserves or anything like that. He was left off the team. He was not quote unquote fit to play. But he didn't at the end of the game congratulate the team as he does every time they win or even when they lose. He didn't congratulate the team. He didn't make anything on social media. He stayed silent. I think his silence is the most telling.
His silence is deafening. Let's change and get away from this because I honestly think you and I could talk about this game for a while because there were a lot of things to discuss. I want to talk about Arsenal Brentford. Was the game.
We're gonna rewind back to
Friday.
Friday. First game of the weekend.
First game of the weekend. First game of the Premier League season.
First game with a full attendance,
full fans
at Brentford,
and we said that Brentford would win 1-0. They ended up winning 2-0. We've talked about this on this podcast a lot, but like Arsenal is trending to relegation within 5 years if they continue to fall down the ladder as they have. And one of the other things too that they said about Spurs is Spurs have gone in the last 5 years from 2 to 7th. They went 2 to 3 to 4. They skipped over 5th, and then they went 6th, and then they went 7th.
Sure.
So both North London teams need a little love.
But
I
think
they'll do okay. Well, I'm not trying to talk about Spurs again. I'm just trying to say.
No, I'm saying it's more that I think that's maybe not Arsenal. Definitely the reason for that is the big reason for that is the amount of spending going on by Leicester.
It's totally the table is weighted differently.
Right.
It's not a fair thing. I'm just saying that's the trends. And so what do you think Arsenal needs to do in the window that they have left of transfers? What are the players that they need to get? Is it locking down Odegaard, somehow convincing him to stay with more money? Is it
come with more money?
Okay, so like but what is it? It can't be just Odegaard. They need something else. Like Or was this just a, hey, you know what? Brentford was better on the day. Over the next 37 games, Arsenal are still going to play and probably finish in the top 8 somewhere.
Top 10.
Top 10. Okay. What do you think Arsenal need to do?
They need to sign Odegaard. That's a help. He wants to play there, and he's comfortable playing under Arteta. I think Arteta is a little out of his depth. I think he's not that great or experienced enough as a coach. I think he's a likable guy and he's well liked in the locker room, but I just don't think tactically he really knows what to do with the players he has. I think Granit Xhaka is a big issue with that team. I think he just extended his contract because nobody wanted him.
That's just like the worst thing, dude. Like you don't stay Like, I'm not like dating someone like, oh, I guess I'll stay with him. No one else wants him. Like no one else wants this person. Like, I'm going to, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I thought Xhaka was gone. I thought he was signed to Roma. There was all this news early on after he had a pretty good run with Switzerland in the Euro. I thought that he was off the books. I do not understand.
They couldn't come up to an agreement about, I think, the price or something. He didn't want to leave. Or something happened. It was a money thing. And then so he was like, well, I guess we'll just extend my contract.
I just think Arsenal's dying on these long contracts of mediocre players, and it doesn't leave them the bandwidth financially to be able to go lock down other players and pay them 100K, 150, 200K a week, which you need to pay like a bigger player. Like, at what point does Saka say, I'm going to leave this project? I'm like a really great player. I'm 19. I'm starting sometimes for the England national team. I'm going to go look for someone else that maybe is going to put me in better footballing situations.
He came in
the Champions League.
He came in like the 65th minute and he looked poor. It's not fair to assess his performance in getting only 25 minutes. But we also have to remind ourselves that Lacazette, Aubameyang, players that score goals weren't fit enough to play. Really truly believe that the Ben White signing was poor. It was a poor way to spend their money, not only because he's not that great of a player in terms of being just a pure center back, but because they basically went out, overpaid for a player on a team that was flirting with relegation, meaning he let in a lot of goals on that team, and basically all they did was inflate the center back market. It was a very strange.
It was already a market that in the last couple of years we've seen some big signings with Van Dijk and Maguire both going for roughly around 100 million.
Yeah.
So it was already a pretty heavy market. I don't understand either.
I don't understand.
I understand going out to get a center back because it probably will do you good. So let's look at that. Van Dijk, they win the Champions League and the league. Man City gets Diaz, they win the league and they go to the Champions League final.
And they win the League Cup.
Yeah.
League Cup.
Okay.
Carabao
right.
Cup.
They won the Carabao Cup. Right. We all remember that. Chelsea go out and they lock down Thiago Silva. We win the Champions League. Like, there is recent history to Maguire. United pick up Maguire. They're very competitive. They finish second. They're very competitive in the league back-to-back years. They get to the Europa final. There is recent history to back up the idea that is a good business decision. But the thing is, all those teams, they all went and signed a top player. Now, you could argue that Thiago Silva is not a top player. He's an experienced player. Maybe he's still not a top player, but he can lead a back three just as good as like Elie can maybe, or some of the older guys in a back three. Diaz, Maguire, and Van Dijk have revolutionized the way those guys defend. So it's like, if you're going to go out and spend, Arsenal, you need to go out and spend and get Koulibaly. You need to bring him over. You need to bring over a big name to put in the back there, or get Upamecano to put in the back. Not Ben White. I just he
got bossed by championship forwards the whole game.
And that should be his bread and butter, the championship. Like Lukaku, Pulisic is going to turn him inside out.
He looked
inside
bad.
Out.
He looked really bad.
After watching Son today, Son on the turn is physical, big guy. He's going to run right. Like, I don't know. So for me, I think you're right about that. I would like to see them they probably need to change formation a little bit, because I don't know if they can buy many more players. Therefore, I think Arteta needs to get maybe feeling comfortable in another formation. That's like the only thing I can come up with when I was thinking about asking you this, because I'm just like, I would like to see them be competitive, because I do think Martinelli's baller. I think Pepe on his day can be very nice, even though it's a flash in the pan every once in a while.
He looked bad.
I think Saka's great. I think Aubameyang, when he wants to be, okay. Lacazette is nice. I think Smith Rowe is one of the best young talents in the Premier League. So I think they have a good amount of pieces, but I'm just not, I don't know. I don't know how they put it together. And I think it also comes down to, if Arteta, if they're over 7th at Christmas and they're playing like they're over 7th, I think he's gone at Christmas.
Over 7th? Like under 7th?
Over the 7th position in the table.
Right. Okay, so if they're like 8th?
Yeah, if they're 8th, but they're not being competitive with the top 6, they're getting blown up by the top 6 and barely beating the rest of the table, I think he's gone sooner than later, because he doesn't have the FA Cup and the Community Shield now. That time is kind of gone. And they need like a Tuchel miracle, honestly.
This is a question for John Scheimer. I mean...
Well, John Scheimer's somewhere like he's banging his head against the wall because like, these idiots talking about my team. But I think John would agree with us that the Ben White signing, they probably overpaid for a very mediocre center back.
You got the English tax. They probably needed a homegrown player. I just think that there's a plenty of players from Serie A, La Liga, some of these other professional leagues that they could have got who want like a player who wanted to play in the Premier League who would have come to Arsenal and taken a payday. That would have been better than Ben White. I don't know.
Right, moving on. I'm looking at Chelsea.
Wait.
You want to finish this?
Yeah, I want to finish. I want to just highlight the feels around that Brentford stadium after, and what NBC is doing to highlight the beautiful game is when these games end, right? And especially when it's a home win, the players are going around. They're clapping for the fans. They're staying on the coverage of the game, just highlighting like the fans in the stadiums, the players clapping for like several minutes when the game's over. They're not cutting the commercial. They're not doing commentary. They're doing long, like letting you soak in the atmosphere. And that is like beautiful for the game. It's what we've missed for the last year and a half. It's what I've really tried to like drive home about what the Premier League is all about and like why it's so important to have fans. It is so important. If you don't think that 60,000 people at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium made a difference, you are not watching the games like we're watching. Like you're not that you don't understand.
You don't have a 75-inch TV.
Well, that's true.
No, but I agree with you.
There was a 7-year-old guy in the Brentford stands crying when they won that game.
The photo's gone around the world like 7 times.
It was really nice to see. It like every stadium basically during the opening weekend was pretty much packed. I think English
they were all packed.
English fans, it is like their identity, right? It's being
well,
football fans.
It's their identity. Like, it's also like they haven't been there in 2 years.
Right.
And it's also like we may shut down in the next 3 months again. So get your tickets and get in the stadiums. But I want to move on. Chelsea won 3-0 over Crystal Palace. Liverpool won 3-0 over Norwich. I would say Norwich and Crystal Palace are more or less in the same ilk. Which win do you think was more emphatic?
I think for Liverpool winning that way, looking that dominant, was a statement game for them because they had a really down season last year by their standard. I think showing up, saying like we got this new front three, even though Firmino scored, but they got this new front three of Jota, Salah, and Mane, and Jota scores, you know? And I think he's really dynamic and he's going to help this team a lot. He stays healthy and they're challenging for the top three for sure. You know, I'm not changing my prediction on who the top four are, but I think they're going to comfortably finish in the top four this year as opposed to like squeak into the top four. And think about it. Last year they had a pretty down season and still got in the top four. So, I mean, this team is deep. So, they stay healthy. If they can pick up another defender, I think they'd love to have just a little bit of depth at center back, because they cannot rely on Van Dijk to the level that they relied on Van Dijk last season. I mean the season before or whatever you know what I mean. That was an emphatic game for me. I thought it was very. I think Norwich on Crystal Palace is a mess. That's what I gathered from the Chelsea game.
I just don't know why Zaha stays.
Mess.
I don't know why Zaha
stays.
They
looked bad.
Zaha would be a sweet pickup for Spurs. He'd be a sweet pickup for Arsenal. I just don't. That's a guy maybe Arsenal's like, all right, let's go out, give him some money, or do a player swap or something. I don't know. He just feels like a guy who's a varsity player stuck on the JV. And
but here's the thing
no
about
one to play with.
Here's the thing about Crystal Palace. They have no identity. They have no formation. They have no attack. They have nothing. They don't know what they're doing. Norwich, it felt like they have an identity. They're going to do what they did last season and just go after it. They had some they did have some chances. They're not like. I feel more confident about Norwich staying up right now, and this is obviously the first game of the season, than Crystal Palace.
Well, Notter said Crystal Palace is going to go down strictly just because he doesn't think Vieira is a good coach.
Yeah.
And I think if we're looking at who's going to get sacked, it's obviously very, very early. We played one game.
Yeah,
you can't judge a soccer team by one game. Like, we totally get that. But Vieira is a guy who I think his head's going to be on the block early because you don't want to be the last team in London now. with 7 teams in London or 8 teams in London, and they probably will be. I think Brentford's better than they are. West Ham sure as hell is. Chelsea, Arsenal, and Spurs are. So it's like, my G, you might want to get that together. But one of the other things I wanted to ask you is Paul Pogba. He gets Micah Richards said this, and I thought it was Richardson said this, and I thought it was very astute. It was like when Harry Kane doesn't show up to training, he's a legend. But Paul Pogba never says he's like actually wants to leave or is going to go anywhere, and everyone hates him. And I just, obviously, Mike Richardson was pointing at probably the racial aspect of English fans holding one player over and like not the other. Also, Pogba's a French guy, so he's a foreigner, and the English and French literally historically never get along.
It's the French thing. It's not the it's not the racial thing. It's the French foreigner thing.
It's the French foreigner thing.
Now, I personally don't have an opinion of Pogba. I think he's a little bit cocky sometimes, but he's not staying at United. I don't think he likes playing in England.
You don't think he's staying after the season?
No, he's going to Real Madrid. 100%, 110%.
I think he I know this is like way off, but I think he and Mbappe this summer will
he's going to run on his contract, and he's just going to go take a payday at Real Madrid, and I think that's fine for him. I think he's gonna play as well as he can play this season. He played great, by the way. They won 5-1.
He had 4 assists.
He played great. He played international Pogba. He didn't just play club level Pogba, which is, I mean, the guy's good. I mean, obviously he I think he'll play really well this season. Maybe help them win a something this year. Maybe it's not the title, but maybe they win the FA Cup or a League Cup, or they do well in the Champions. I don't know.
Maybe they win the Champions League.
Maybe. Who knows?
And anything's possible.
Anything's possible. But I think I think it's more of a French thing. But it's a legitimate question to ask. I think Harry Kane is the golden boy, right? Harry Kane's like the English golden boy. He's the captain of the English team. He never really created a problem before. Everybody thinks he deserves trophies and a payday and going to City, and like that's his like God-given right to get to go there. And like anything that he does, it's great because it is no any means to the end, right? For Harry Kane, and he's gonna get his wish and. Whatever. He's being a little baby about it. That's my opinion. He's being a baby about it. He's went about it the wrong way.
I think he's been put in a really shitty position, though, if I have to say. Because he clearly would like to leave. He would like to go to what he sees as greener pastures. There's a greener pasture saying, why don't you come over here and play? And his other team's kind of like, and the team he's trying to leave isn't accepting almost any bid except for the bid that they think that his value's worth. But that bid may literally just be too much for it to actually happen, even though I think selling Harry Kane is probably the most mutual beneficial thing for both of those clubs. If he stays this season, Tottenham fans are just not going to be into it. They're going to be all over him, and if he doesn't match the stats that he had last year, I just don't think it goes very well. I don't know, energetically, it's just like he's already spiritually out the door, dude. Just let his body go, man. He wasn't even showing up today.
Here's the deal. You signed an extension in your contract in 2018. You are a professional football player. Your job is to play football. Your job is to go out and you lace up your cleats and you score goals. You're a striker. I don't care if you want to go play for Manchester City. You signed a contract. It matters that you signed a contract, or else contracts wouldn't exist. And you know what? If you were smart enough and your agent wasn't a fucking idiot.
Well, his agent's his brother.
Yes, he's a fucking idiot.
I'm just saying.
You would put a release clause in your contract. You would do it.
I can't believe he doesn't have a release clause. I feel like
you don't go in saying, Daniel Levy, let's have a gentleman's agreement about
Did they spit in each other's hands and do a shake?
Fine, okay?
I feel like Levy his contract was made on LegalZoom.
Levy obviously fucked him, right? Obviously didn't strengthen the squad, right? You don't buy a really nice couch and have like holes in your rug, right? Like that's I get it. Wait.
Is the nice couch the stadium?
No, the nice couch
holes in the rug is the squad.
Nice couch is Harry Kane. The nice couch is Harry Kane. The nice house is the stadium.
And
the rug is the squad.
And then there's a rug with like fleas.
Yeah,
that's the squad.
I know I'm giving this after they beat City today. I'm giving him a little bit of short shrift.
Yeah, you can't see his dumb smile, but it's big.
But you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say. Okay, do you think he goes this week or not?
Absolutely. I think he's gone. But
Okay.
that's not the point. The point is that you have to be like, he's not being professional about it. And he's been super professional his whole career, and this is not how you make the move. He made a tactical error. He made a very
I just don't think he did. Look, he was playing the team that he was going to go to.
You don't get to decide what you wanted. You don't just get to decide. You get to play for a different club because the other club is like, oh yeah, we want you.
But listen,
I would feel
if a player's about to be transferred, they normally don't play if they're in limbo. And they're especially not going to play if they may go to the team they're playing.
What I'm saying is, I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about showing up for training day one.
Oh, he should have been there day one. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about today.
He didn't have a choice. He got left out of the squad.
Oh, okay.
That's Nuno's choice.
It's not his problem.
It is his problem because he didn't show up for fucking training.
I still have no problem with it.
I think that's your problem.
I think
that's
he's
your
on
problem.
the way out.
You cannot just let the player decide that he wants to leave.
Well, then he should have got fined. If he showed
He
up
did
late
get
to
fined.
Okay, then what else do you want him to do?
I want him to be a professional soccer player. I want him to show up to training. Grealish showed up.
Grealish showed up for Aston Villa?
Yeah. Grealish showed up. He knew he was going.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking baby. He showed up and he didn't show up. He stayed an extended
This is why
holiday.
he can't stay, because you're representing Spurs fans.
You
guys are so angry already.
Jarrett, the man makes $250,000 a week
I
playing
understand
soccer.
how much money he makes.
You don't get to just decide. You structure your contract with a release clause. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You're wrong, man. Like
I'm not even really taking a point. I'm just poking a bear, and you're getting really angry.
It's ridiculous the way he acted. It's ridiculous.
So what would you have rather him done?
I would have rather him showed up for
one.
training and in the background negotiated a deal like a normal professional athlete.
Yeah, I think it's just
that
tough,
is what you do.
I think it's just tough because
That's what you
he's
do.
such in the limelight, and the world knows that City's trying to go after.
The other thing you do is you don't go on Sky Sports and hold an interview about how you want to say you want to play for City. That's another tactical error he made.
He did that?
Yeah, he did
I didn't see that. That's brutal.
Gary Neville interviewed him.
And he said, I want to go to City.
Yes. He's like, I'd love to play for City because then
and I don't know why Daniel Levy just didn't let it. I mean, what price do you think is fair to let him go?
150
pounds.
Not 120, not 110 in a player.
And
150. And if you want to throw in a
City
player,
said no. City said
no.
no.
City's going to come out is going to a 120 million pound bid.
I think he's definitely. I think we agree he's worth. Because here's the thing, Lukaku. They just said he's worth 112, and I don't care what he did in Serie A. You got to do it in the Prem.
Yeah, and they also just shot themselves in the foot because they signed fucking dive boy Grealish for fucking 100 million. I wouldn't say dive boy. I'll say cry boy because he cried a lot today.
I just don't know. I still don't know why they signed Grealish. I don't know how he fits into Man City's plan. I literally don't. He puts his foot on the ball and stops it. Like he's Guatemala Blanco. Like the way he plays like Riquelme and Guatemala Blanco. He plays like he's old school. He plays like Valderrama. He'll slow the play down as much as he wants and speed it up as much as he wants. And that is not part of the fluid nature that City have. So I think that they should have just saved that 100, thrown on 50, which they're going to make out because they have like 75,000 accountants working at City cooking books. And then they go get Kane. I don't know why they did this.
It screws up their finances by signing two big players like that. And they had a lot of players. They sold like $60 million pounds worth of players last season. So that 40 million difference, it's fine, whatever. Then they can spread the contracts out over. They can spread the fees over the length of the contract.
Exactly.
So it's okay. And like whatever, they're gonna sell a shitload of Kane jerseys to make up some money.
Are they gonna sell a lot of Kane jerseys?
I mean, they'll sell a lot,
but it's not like Messi when Messi goes.
No, it's true.
Like, there's going to be a time where there's going to be a lot of grown men at bars and they're all wearing Messi jerseys and none of them like PSG.
Right.
Just because they're like, this is a sick
I mean,
kid.
I bought one. Fuck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's buying them.
It just rubs me the wrong way when a player like Kane, who's supposed to be like all about Spurs, just doesn't show up. Like, fine, whatever. I know you want to play at a different club. I'm not begrudging you for that. Nobody's begrudging Kane for wanting to go play for City, play for a team, play for Real Madrid, play for any team that's going to win trophies. It's the way you go about it. And it's a slap in the face to Spurs fans who supported him for the last however many years, right? And that's why he's going to get the stick for it. He's not going to get stick for going to City. He's going to get stick for the way he got to City. That's it. And that's my problem with him. I think that's what a lot of people, and the ends do not justify the means when you're dealing with this. It's just because he's always going to be, his legacy is always going to be how he got to City.
His legacy will be how he left Spurs
how he
and
left
transitioned
Spurs.
into City. That's unfortunate no matter like what happens. But let's look at this next week because I honestly think, and we talked about this when it happened, but like Arsenal's first 3 games, now that they lost to Brentford, their like first 5 games are so brutal. So
yeah,
we're gonna be on you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? We're gonna be on coach on the chopping block soon among the Premier League, depending upon results. So all the games are gonna be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we'll start with Saturday. Liverpool, Burnley. I think this is fairly straightforward. Do you even want to know? They're playing at Anfield. What are you thinking?
Anfield, Liverpool, 4-0.
Yeah, I'd say 4-0. They looked good moving forward. And if they're getting goals from Bobby, Jota, and Mo's having like 1 billion assists, they're going to be very tough to stop.
This is with no Henderson, no Robertson. This is with who started? Milner, who played
Milner pulling
center.
the strings.
Yeah,
It's dark. What about Aston Villa, Newcastle?
Oh, man, Aston Villa didn't play well.
I'm surprised they lost.
That's
not good.
Not a good look. With Danny Ings up front. I will say, and Ollie Watkins supposedly the second.
Newcastle looked good until they looked bad this past week.
They lost 4-2.
They lost 4-2, but they came out and they were playing well, and you know they got a new signing and Willock. So I wasn't.
He didn't play though, right?
No, he didn't play. I picked Newcastle to get relegated, so I'm gonna go out and say I'm picking Aston Villa winning this game. Maybe 1-0 or 2-1. I really don't know.
I'll say 2-1 bounce back game
for Villa.
For Villa, I'll say a brace for Ollie Watkins.
The next game is at Selhurst, aka Led Tasso's home field. It's Crystal Palace Brentford. This is going to be a good game.
Yeah.
This is between
It's a derby.
It's a total derby, and it's between the battle. This is the wooden spoon for London game. I think Brentford wins this game.
Yep.
Just coming off that last win, you're like, yeah, we just took down Arsenal. Fabled club. Like, on to the next. Crystal Palace, I don't know what good things they took away from the Chelsea game, but I think Brentford win this just strictly on energy.
Well, here's the thing about Brentford. You know, you look at Brentford and you say, oh, yeah, I mean, they got one guy. They got Ivan Toney. He scored 30-something goals in the championship last season. Guess who scored their goals? Norgard and Canos. A center mid, almost like a center defensive mid, and a wing back or even just a right back or something. If they're gonna get production out of like a whole host of people, including Toney, I think they're gonna be fine. They're not gonna get. I don't think anybody called them to be relegated from
Some
our pod.
People
might have.
We maybe Eddie or Notter. I don't know, but
okay. Well, I don't think they're gonna get relegated. I think they're gonna win this game. I'm gonna go 2-1.
I'm gonna go 2-1.
Yeah,
definitely by a goal. The next game, however, is going to be a great game because we didn't talk about how Everton played this first week. I thought they played very well. I thought they looked good, and that was exciting to see because we've talked about maybe they're not going to be with their head in the right place. Benitez is a completely different look from Ancelotti. There's just been, is Hammond's going to play? Is Hammond's not going to play? There's just been kind of a lot of questions. Richarlison, well, he annoys the absolute shit out of me, but at the end of the day, like, respect his game. When he wants to play, he's super annoying to play against.
Yep.
I think for this game, Everton are going to win this game. Let's look at it's at Ellen Road, though, so I don't know. That place could be bumping. I'm going to go 1-1 tie, but, like, good.
I'm going to go 2-2 tie just because I think that...
Because neither team's really into defending?
No, they don't really love defending. They're going to have that, that 12th man in Ellen Road, and I think hard place to play. I think a hard place to play with a packed stadium. And it's... it's going to be tough. I was impressed by Everton's second half. I thought they came out and they showed that they have some resilience. They can go down a goal and come back. DCL got in the score sheet. It's good to see.
The next game is the mini bat game of the week because Man City will take Norwich out behind a shed and hit them with a mini bat. Man City off a Spurs loss, Harry Kane-less Spurs loss. Yeesh. Norwich not looking that great. I don't know. I think Norwich is going to score a goal, but I think City will win this game by 3 goals. I think Pep is going to go lay into the boys after this Spurs game. I just think Norwich is going to catch that body on the other side. I'm going 4-1 City.
I agree with that.
Or something in the like 3-0, 4-1, the blowout variety, if you will.
I agree.
It's at home. City. Yeesh. I mean, City, their last couple competitive games have not gone well.
No, they need to bounce
They
back.
lost the Community Shield. They lost the Champions League final. They lost to Spurs. It's not good. So
all 1-0 as well.
Yeah.
So not like you even were scoring goals.
All 1-0 in all games where they
had possession.
They had possession and they had looks going forward. There just wasn't that final quality in the box or in the final third. So I think Norwich are going to get some smoke in this game.
I also think Sterling's not going to start.
Oh, Sterling, we're not going to go. We don't have enough pod time to do that. The next game could be another mini back game of the week, but on the other side, where it is analogous to two grown men fighting in a basement with no lights with mini bats. Because Brighton, Hove, and Watford, this just looks like a championship game.
Watford was surprising. They came out and they won.
I know. They
barely squeaked it out.
We were like 8 for 10, and one of the ones we didn't get right was this one.
Yeah, well, it was really funny because they were winning 3-1.
Because they had that Troy Deeney special.
They.
Also, shout out
the second goal that who they play?
Who did Watford play?
Yeah.
I
always forget who they played.
They
played Aston Villa. That was
you're
Aston
right.
Villa.
They beat Aston Villa.
But the second goal that Aston Villa scored was a penalty because of the challenge. Go watch the highlights of that game.
I haven't seen the challenge.
Red card. No, it was like he wildly threw his leg out in the box.
He Eric Dyered it.
Yeah, it was brutal.
But
I thought they were going to give up a third goal because it was like one of those situations.
Watford has a special place in my heart because their main sponsor across their chest is stake.com, which is pretty sure is a crypto staking website. And on their shoulder, they have Dogecoin.
They're powered by Doge.
They're powered by Doge. So Watford is a special breed. They're likely to go down just because they're powered by Doge, if nothing else. They should get points deducted.
I like it.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah.
1-1 is not the scoreline. That's the amount of red cards that will be matching. This is the mini back game. No, I'm going 1-1 scoreline.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Sunday, Wolves, Tottenham. Nuno back against the Lobos. Who do you got on this one?
Wolves at home.
Our Wolves are at home in the old Molyneux. So who do you got on this one?
It could be a surprising 1-1 tie, but I think Nuno's got these guys.
I think
playing.
Nuno knows these players.
He knows these players that they're playing against. But I think he's also he got Spurs playing well. That team looked like a unit, right? Instead of just a bunch of guys who didn't really know what they were doing running around the field.
It looked like a unit.
It looked like a unit.
The Mourinho days are dark. When Mourinho comes to your town, it's like
lock up the windows.
It's like the Olympics coming to your town.
Yeah.
You're about to get fucked.
Yeah.
It's going to get dark, dude. Financially, you're going to be a mess. Emotionally, therapy. And then he leaves.
What keeps
and then Roma hires him. How does Roma hire them? I'm like, oh yeah, his track record's super good as of late. The dude hasn't won anything. I guess he did decently with Man United. They won the Europa League, but other than that,
it's a dude that just got
with Chelsea. But
he's a dude that just got fired before a cup final.
Yeah, dude, how are you gonna get fired on your day off, man?
Yeah. But
anyways.
the thing that flashes my mind when the whole thing that sums up the Jose era is just the game where Sanchez is face plants into the 6 after they score a goal or whatever. That was a City game, I think.
Legend says he's still with his face going across grass.
But Sanchez and Dyer look good today.
All right, wait. So what'd you say in this game? Wolves Tottenham?
I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1-1, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 2-0 Spurs win.
I'm going 2-0 Spurs. I think Spurs look good, and I think that Nuno definitely knows
how
to beat this team.
I also think that Romero's going to play. I think Romero's going to start over Dyer or Sanchez. I'm not sure which. Honestly, with Sanchez's performance today,
Sanchez
is going to go to Sevilla or somewhere, and maybe a player's maybe Spurs are actually good. Maybe Nuno's got this team playing well.
So maybe they can surprise me if Nuno, and I don't know what Spurs' money is, but if they do sell Kane in this week, which is likely, I wouldn't be surprised if Nuno goes back to some old tricks and brings over some young Portuguese kids that are going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Or even pull over some guys from Wolves. So
yeah, I mean Cody was talked about. Cody
would be great.
Yeah, they just need a center back for depth, regardless. But they want to sign a center back. They want to sign a striker, obviously, and then maybe one other midfield player. But 3 signings would be crazy. I think 2 is optimistic and 1's pretty much a lock. Because they need a striker. They only have Dane Scarlett's their only like pure striker right now. So I'm gonna go 2-0 though because they still have Son and it looks like Bergwijn and Mora were lively.
Oh, they were the whole team looked good today. It was very.
I just don't see how Wolves can't handle the front three right now, like that front three.
Wolves,
I mean, Cody's pretty good.
Wolves play
actually.
a 3-back and they defend a number. I mean, they're annoying. How about Southampton, Manchester United?
Ooh,
This is another game.
This is another game we're gonna out of hand.
This is another potential mini bet. I'm going 3-goal deficit for United. Southampton is rough.
I was like, Southampton was winning 1-0 for a while against Everton, and I was like, what's happening? How is my call this poor? And then they ended up losing. But so I'm gonna definitely go United. United made a statement winning 5-1 over Leeds. I think they're saying, we're here, we're striking, we're firing all cylinders. Bruno Fernandes had a hat trick. After me saying like he's not going to have that great of a season, he scores a hat trick.
It's well, if you talk about him bad on the pod, he shows out. It's at St. Mary's. I just don't think that matters. I think United win this handedly. You can put whatever scoreline that means to you. The next game is a game that this team did the double last year over us, and it hurt both times. So Arsenal-Chelsea. Where is the game located? It is going to be at the Emirates. Arsenal fans are going to be booing at halftime. That's my prediction.
Booing their team.
Booing their team at halftime.
It's going to be a...
Chelsea have nothing to lose in this game.
It's going to be a half-empty stadium at halftime as well.
It could be.
It could be.
Chelsea could go up 3-0 on them, and we could just look like we're in control.
They played a friendly today against like some League 2 team or something for all the players that like didn't play in the game. They won 13-0.
The Arsenal
Chelsea.
Team? Oh, Chelsea did.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chelsea's
depth is freaking scary.
Yeah, they suddenly got like crazy depth. I mean, obviously they're spending huge dollars, but my question to you is, do they see this Arsenal team? I mean, they want to beat Arsenal. It's a derby. It's their rival. Does Pulisic play?
Oh, Pulisic for sure plays. Why wouldn't he play?
Just asking.
Oh, he for sure plays. We do play with Liverpool after this.
Does he start? Does Pulisic start?
That's the better question.
That's where that really meant.
I don't think he does because I don't think we need him to start. Okay. I think he'll probably go with Havertz, and then he'll bring Pulisic off the bench. He's going to have to get Havertz. We have just so many guys up top.
Does Lukaku play?
Lukaku, if he can, I don't think he plays yet. I don't think he'll just straight up start at Arsenal yet.
Okay.
Lukaku could definitely come off the bench. I also just don't know. Like, I don't know what their training's like. I don't know how much time he spent around the squad.
I do have to say,
he knows some of the players, but you can't just drop a 9 up top and just expect production.
Even though Chelsea dominated the game against Crystal Palace, per usual, Timo Werner looked brutal out there. Just brutal. I know he pulls defenders away, blah, blah, blah. His finishing is crap, and he's always his offsides. Oh, it's awful.
I seriously, I'll ask the question.
But
has someone ever explained the offsides rule to him?
No.
Does he understand how that works?
No.
Because it could just be one of those things. Well, he's a professional player. He must know how this works. Like, oh.
In actuality, you ask him, he's like, "What? What are you talking?
I can't be behind the last of."
What?
I want my stapler back. I really don't know if he knows. I mean, obviously this is hyperbolic. He clearly knows he's a football player. But sometimes when he's playing, you're like, dude, just be freaking on sides. And he's so fast. It's not like he needs to cheat.
Fast.
He doesn't need to. Anyways.
I get it why he has a crazy work rate. Tuchel loves him for like hustling and stuff.
Tuchel loves him because he's German.
He's
your boy.
I know. But he runs a lot. And there's no doubt he pulls defenders away, right? So he creates openings.
On the defensive side for press, he's like no one like Christian just doesn't. Christian presses hard, but Christian's tiny.
Tiny, yeah.
He's not as strong as Werner is. Let's get back to the score prediction. I think Chelsea win this game 3-0.
Yeah.
And I think Chelsea, like I said, I think they're booing at halftime because it's probably 2-0 or it's 1-0, and Arsenal's just not touching the ball. And I think Granit Xhaka by halftime easily has a yellow card because he can't touch those midfielders. Jorginho's better. Coach is better. Conte's better. And if he's trying to get any of the forwards that are falling back to pick up the ball, Mount will roast him. Pulisic will roast him. Werner is quicker. Havertz will diddle him, dude. So it's going to be a long day for Arsenal fans. And Arsenal fans, it doesn't get much easier because after you play us, then you got to go play City.
Yep. I hope Lukaku plays because I think it will really...
I think he'll be subbed in.
I think it'll really emphasize Ben White's shortcomings. because he will get beasted.
I forgot that we talked about this when we were watching, but I was watching when we were watching the Brentford game. I was like, dude, Ben White is going to get dominated by Jamie Vardy, by Lukaku, by bigger players.
Because he did last season. He's not suddenly a different player.
Oh my god.
He only came into the English national team.
3-0, booing at halftime, and shocky yellow card by halftime. Those aren't like I'm not like breaking the mold to say these things. But last game is going to be a great game. Potentially the game of the week, I think. West Ham and Leicester. Two teams that I think are constantly probably overperforming for what they have.
Constantly overperforming.
Constantly overperforming.
I think Leicester's like performing like.
No. Well, you know what? I guess they have spent like
They've spent a lot of money.
Okay, Leicester's performing. West Ham is overperforming. Like check Souček for some doping, dude.
Yep. He's
on that Lance Armstrong plan. That dude is good. He scores goals, just does whatever he wants. They look good. Declan Rice, arguably one of the best holders.
I'm just trying to figure out how they're gonna are they just like paying the players and like
problem up top? I don't know what they're doing.
West Ham coin. They're paying him in West Ham coin.
They got West Ham coin, which is analogous to Dogecoin.
Yeah, they just like paying him, and they're like, we promise it'll be worth something.
They have the Moyes Moneda.
We promise it'll be worth something in the future.
Yeah, they're all on some community token. That's how they're paying them.
Yeah.
Good.
I just can't imagine. I just can't see how some of those players of that caliber are staying with West Ham.
I mean,
they're in the Europa League. I guess.
They're in the Europa League, and they sell them. They play in a nice stadium. They've got diehard fans.
They're in London, I guess. Yeah.
It's at London Stadium. I'm gonna go West Ham on this. I'm gonna go West Ham.
Bubbles.
I'm gonna go 2-1. Bubbles 2-1. What do you think on that? Do you not think anything?
That would be a good game. I think that would be a fair result. I also think West Ham can I think Leicester can pinch a goal and win 3-2 maybe.
Okay. The bottom line is you're picking Leicester, I'm picking West. It's going to be a very good game, and I'm excited to watch it on Monday. I like Monday games because sometimes I'm like, I get out of work and I'm like, yeah,
it's like there's something to do on Monday. It's always a kind of a down day.
Something to do.
In case of the Mondays.
All right, those are our picks for next week. I want to go over fantasy real quick because things are happening if you're in our fantasy. Jaboy is in last. Jaboy, me. I am in dead fucking last. You are in third to last.
Yeah. Oz is in first.
No. Mitch is in first with 104. Jamie Becker is in second with 100. And Oz is on 87. And I texted Mitch. And I'm like, Mitch, you're doing well in fantasy. And he said something like, shots fired at Oz or something like that. Tell your boy Oz to watch out.
There you go. I'd love to see it. See, we don't need to do well.
Tell Osman that a challenge has been issued.
See, so you know what? Like, I've never been good at fantasy football.
I suck at fucking fantasy.
I've done fantasy for years and years. I did fantasy football. I mean, like NFL. I've done fantasy, this, that, DraftKings, whatever, all these things. I've been terrible. Like, pick 'em. I'm not gambling like an analytical type that way. I'm like a.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why I'm bad at fantasy. Or here's why I think I'm bad. Because when I look at a team, I try to create it as if it were going to be a real team. So I don't put 3 10s in the midfield.
Right.
I'm like, I got to have a holder. You don't. You just need to have dudes who bang goals who shag goals. And I just can never get my head over it.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, you got to have that to balance it out because he's a lefty and he likes to go into space, but he'll hold. It's like, dude, you just need the guys with the top. They had Bruno Fernandes.
Yep.
And they had Salah either in vice captain or captain. That's it. That's the only way. And both those guys are just to the top.
So I think it's actually funnier that we're bad.
I think it spices it up. If we beat the shit out of everyone on fantasy,
we're going to be like, yo, fuck you.
Yo, mini bet your fantasy. They'd be like, I hate these dudes.
Yeah, like it's funnier that we're like.
They're like, call themselves boys and bolos. They're more like men and they don't have bolos.
And they don't. It's
a weird
they're
vibe.
like dickheads.
Yeah, it's a weird vibe.
So I'm fine with it. Like, whatever. We organize it. We talk about
Whatever. I'm going to Venmo some jamoke $50 and send him a t-shirt. I'm fine with it. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Or whatever they choose. Doesn't have to be a t-shirt.
That's true. Diego said if he wins, he wants a custom bolo, which is also on the offering.
Actually, it wasn't originally, and then I offered it.
Oh, that's right. He actually wants that for the Euro because he did well in the Euro.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Actually, Diego, if you listen to this, you need to reach out. You have till Friday to reach out again, or the bolo is void. And if you don't listen to the podcast, the bolo is void.
Yeah, we're not texting you.
And we're not going to tell you, hey, you got to text us.
It's
an email reminder. You got to pay National Grid.
Oh, I'm getting my bolo made this week, everyone, by the way.
It will be on IG.
It'll be on IG. It's going to be custom. It's going to be very fresh. And then I'm going to hopefully wear it to the wedding I'm going to on Friday.
Dude, Jenna will love that.
Jenna will hate me for she may just shun me the whole weekend.
She hates how much she loves you.
Ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth? And on that, we'll see you for week 2.
Week 2 wrap up.
Yes, this was week 1.
This is week 1.
How's your math?
Pretty good.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to the Boys and Bolos podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Twitch at Boys and Bolos.
If you'd like to be a guest, please reach out. You can hit us on any of the social media accounts that Jeff just mentioned or email us directly at boysandbolos@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening and see you next time.